What attracted us to Haines is, I think, what keeps us here and what attracts everybody I know, and it's the beauty of the place, the mountains, the rivers, the sea. Every single day you wake up, or at least I do, and I just thank God I live here. I can't imagine being anywhere else. What has kept me here all these years, though, is the community, the people. Being connected, being so connected, is the compound benefit of living in this small, remote, isolated, beautiful place.
Haines is like a large family. In that family atmosphere, we're known for coming together when tragedy strikes, and that was evidenced with the extreme weather event and the landslide in the beginning of December.
The Haines Volunteer Fire Department evacuated residents by boat Wednesday afternoon after a slide crashed through homes on Beach Road.
The December rain event showed me the need we have for a new public safety building. We need more space for our first responders. We need more meeting space. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. We just need a functional, utilitarian building that provides us adequate space for dealing with an emergency in addition to our day-to-day needs.
The importance of this public safety building to the community of Haines is that it houses all of the safety, the police, the jail, fire department, communications with the E911, public facilities offices, the assembly chambers, the morgue, among a number of other facilities. And really it's kind of the nerve center of all of the safety operations of Haines.
I think one of the examples of people who are really, really involved in the community are the people who spend a lot of time in that municipal building and our public safety building.
This facility, the way it is, it really affects our operations. Every square inch of the building is completely used. There isn't a room or a corner or any place in the building that isn't completely full of something. It's at absolute maximum capacity.
Haines has, because we have to, by nature of our location, an incredible volunteer fire department and particularly EMS service, ambulance crew. And they're all of our friends and neighbors.
We have 2 paid staff and 35 volunteers that make the department. You take the volunteers away, there is no department. 2 paid staff does not make a fire department. It's pretty amazing. I'm humbled all the time. I'm very honored to be the fire chief. This is the learning center for the fire department. Training is key. That's the bedrock. Everything is built on top of that. You can see it's a very small area. At times we get 50 people up here. Now we've had to limit it because we're actually exceeding the load limit to the floor. This is also the bunk room. We have willing volunteers that do come and sleep on the floor at the fire hall so they can be here and respond in the after hours. It's quite amazing. Now the reason we have our rescue Randy up here is because we've run out of room to put things, so we're literally hanging things from the ceiling. There is no exhaust mitigation, so what we have to do is we open all the doors, but at 2 o'clock in the morning on a January winter morning, everybody's freezing because you're sweating already. The carcinogens that are within diesel exhaust are cumulative. Statistics are showing that firefighters very seldom lasting too many years beyond retirement before developing some sort of cancer. We can have as many as 35 members, you can see in this cramped area here, all crammed in a 911 response trying to jostle and get their gear on. So quite often, some people will come and throw their gear out in the open so they can run over and gear up to give others room here. So this has been a problem, especially now during COVID. We have members that actually wait till someone clears the area so they can maintain somewhat social distancing. Not to sound like we're just bringing out the negatives, but the focus is the health and safety of the first responders is paramount.
I don't think you can overstate the value of the people who are involved in our public safety EMS, EMT services. They're us. They're our friends and our neighbors, and they go out on some 300 calls a year on their free time. That's what they do. And I think that also contributes to the feeling of safety, the feeling of love, the feeling of family in a small town.
This building has been a concern for a long time. I came here a year and a half ago, and of course it was one of the top things on everybody's mind.
At one of the buildings, there's like 6 or 7 inches of water in there all the time. And you're under there and you got hundreds of wires draping down from dispatch, and you got electrical conduit that fell off the floor, and it's just a terrible, terrible place to be. The building offers a lot of electrical violations, and that's why we can't find an electrician to work on the building. It's just maxed out. We have panels and sub-panels and sub-panels all over the building. Electricians, they don't like this building and they won't touch it. We've had a lot of leaks in the building, domestic leaks. I've been fixing it probably for 15, maybe even 20 years. I've fixed probably hundreds of them. Most of our copper in the building is type M, and it's just worn out. And there's probably thousands of feet of that. We've asked a couple contractors, say, hey, can you paint our building? They said no, because I can't guarantee it. There's about a 40-foot section of the building between the jail cells and the corner by the police department. The whole wall rotted out. On top of that, we've done lots of rot repair inside the building. I mean, when you're doing rot, you can get most of it out, but not all of it. And some of it, you can't repair it structurally and expect to get all the rot, because it doesn't work that way. If we wanted to remodel the outside of the building, we could finish doing all the windows and maybe put metal on it, but all we have is still an old building underneath.
The facility has not kept up with the transformation of modern law enforcement. We do not have a lot of private areas in this building where interviews can be conducted. Structurally, we have some concerns with this outer wall, but this is what we have to work with. This is the morgue. For us to run this morgue, we have to open our sally port because our chiller is run by a motor that is in the interior of the building. So we have to vent appropriately when we have somebody housed in there. Over on the far end of the building, we have the assembly chambers, which often works as our unified command, or the EOC. Our fire hall is upstairs, and our communications are on the far end of the building. We do ourselves a great disadvantage just when it comes to how and where areas are placed in this building. I think we could correct with a new facility.
Looking back in the records of some of my predecessors, even 20 years ago, they were talking about we need a new public safety building. There's no room for any kind of expansion or changes or any additional operations at all.
We're currently working with an architect to come up with a conceptual plan, so then we can present that to the community, get the community behind us, so we have a project to put out there for funding.
The idea of shovel ready is to get a project to the point where it's ready to build. We're going to look at every space, and ask the question, why do you need this space? What is this space for? What we're trying to do is to bring this to a point where we don't just push the problem down the road, but we come to a solution of what needs to be done, and then to determine, well, how do we pay for it? We know that we don't have the money here in Haines. We're not asking the taxpayers to pay for this. We're going to bring outside money in to finance it.
Building this facility is not building an empire onto the fire department, police department, or public works. It's a facility that when people have the worst days, there's a group intact that can come to their aid. That's really the bottom line. So our motto here in the fire department is, I'm not here for me, I'm here for we, and we are here for them.